Hello, and welcome back to the Unnamed F1 podcast. I'm Alex,
And I'm Cooper.
and today we'll be talking about preseason testing in Barcelona for 2019. A lot to talk about today. We're also going to be chatting about the livery unveils and some other things ahead of Australia in 2 weeks. Wow, time flies.
I'm excited for that.
Let's begin. So, we've drawn up a little table. Also, just want to say first, thanks for the support on the last one. Glad to see that people enjoyed it. We'll keep them coming through the season. Anyway, so we drew up a little table, and we're going to rank all the liveries one by one. So, we're going to be ranking on color, consistency, and freshness. So basically, how colorful the livery is, whether all the elements work well and like nothing looks out of place, and how different it is from last year. So, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So,
What was your? So
Mercedes? We'll
just
start with Mercedes.
we'll just go with the totals. We'll go with the
Okay.
totals and point out any highlights.
Okay. Well, Mercedes, I gave it a. I'm satisfied by it. I gave it a 21.
21.
And
Okay.
mainly because
Interesting.
I like the color, the consistency was good, but it wasn't that new. It was very similar to last year, I have to say. It
What did
flows really nice. It looks like kind of an aero pattern almost on the side. I like the stripe, and it's got the I don't know what it's called, but the Mercedes triangle symbol, like a peace sign almost. It's got a few of those in the back. That's really cool.
The
The logo, the Mercedes
star.
logo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
What did
think
you
it's
give it
cool.
for fresh? What did you
Oh,
give it for freshness? Out of interest.
a 4, because it's kind of different, but compared to I mainly ranked it low compared to other teams, which we'll get to later. But some teams really change up their livery, and Mercedes didn't. So
Okay.
yeah. What about you?
I gave it a 17. It sounds harsh, but
Right?
I
Yeah.
gave it a 4 for color because let's face it, it's mostly grey.
Yeah.
That's based on color alone, and we'll see in a few minutes why this system is a bit flawed.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a 17. Anyway, so I'll go next. Ferrari. It's very colourful, very consistent because it's all red. It's hard not to be consistent.
Yeah.
It's somewhat new. It's newer than Mercedes. I mean, it's
Yeah.
matte. You got obviously the black Mission Spino branding.
Yep.
And yeah, I gave it a 24, which is my highest score, which does not reflect what I think of it.
Right. Okay. I actually I don't know how I felt because it wasn't super different, but I really like the matte and I really like the black. So I thought
Okay.
out of the teams that stayed the same, so Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, um, Alpha, Toro Rosso, I thought by far Ferrari was the coolest out of all those.
Yeah, for Ferrari, they've done a really good job. I mean, they
Yeah,
always
they nailed
produce
it.
a
Yeah,
pretty good livery.
yeah, and it
2017, yeah,
the matte paint job allows them to get a half a kilometer speed boost at top speed. So
that's cool. That is really cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, things like that, you don't think of that, but it's like, wow, that's
yeah,
actually a genuinely
yeah.
good
Well, I
idea.
mean,
And
it would be good if there were no weight limit rules where you had to have a certain weight and then just fill the car with ballast anyway. If that wasn't
yeah, but
a
that
factor, it'd be cool. But
that does help much taller drivers, though. So it's
no, it needs to be a rule. Like, yeah,
um. So I'll say the next one.
yep.
Red Bull. Now this gets my lowest score, which is a 13. It gets a 6 in color, a 7 in consistency, and a 0 in freshness.
Yeah, I see that. Yep.
Because it's identical.
It says
There's a
Honda on the
There's,
side though now. It says Honda.
okay, all right, all right. There's a Honda logo. Okay, maybe you're 1, but
Yeah, no, I
it's the
agree.
same as last
It's
year.
the same.
It's not. I don't know. Red
Yeah.
Bull, they just give us a nice livery, and then they just like a nice testing livery, and then they just disappoint. Come on, guys.
I know,
Like,
yeah, I don't really understand. Same with Mercedes too. Mercedes had like this awesome teaser livery and then they just gave us the same as
or at least if you're going to release, if you're going to reveal the teaser livery,
I know,
go
I
to
don't understand.
testing with it.
Did Red Bull even drive their livery?
They did a shakedown on like wet tires, so it doesn't really count.
Right, okay.
Um,
Oh, like one of those display
but
runs where they have to use wet tires so they can get.
yeah,
Okay.
um, come on, Red Bull, come on.
Anyway, yeah, disappointing.
It's yeah. Next, oh you go next. You got Renault.
Um, Next one, Renault. Yeah, again, it's just same as last year. I mean, I'm sure there are some differences, but looking at a
Well,
picture here, I can't
yeah.
really notice any. I think there's
The-
more black, but different shade of yellow.
Um,
I don't know.
well, I gave it a 20. I'm a fan. I gave it a 3 for freshness because
Oh
there
yeah,
are
no,
some
I'm not saying
differences.
it's bad, but it's the same. Like,
True.
and I think before what was kind of cool slash special about it was predominantly black with yellow highlights, but
Yeah.
now there are two
They've
cars like that on the grid. So
they've slowly gotten more black as time goes on. Like
yeah,
2016 was mostly yellow with a bit of black,
yeah,
and yeah. Anyway,
yeah. Alright, well,
yeah. I mean, there's the entire like nose cone area is all yellow.
yeah.
Um,
It looks like a brighter shade almost. I don't know. I could be imagining it, but
it's hard to tell in photos.
we'll see in real life in Melbourne. We'll have a
Yeah,
look.
or you will. Next is Haas.
I'll let you
I
go
gave
first.
it I gave it a 20. I gave it a 2 for color 'cause it's black.
Personally,
Uh,
I don't like it.
yeah.
I mean, I get people like it because of nostalgia, because it looks like the old Lotus and stuff, but I reckon they did a bad job. It's just too dark. They could have added so many more gold accents, but they didn't.
Yeah, and if you have a look at a photo of the car,
Yeah,
you can probably hear him typing away.
yeah. I'm looking at one now.
Have a look at
Every
if you
single
have
concept livery I saw was better than the final livery. Every single one.
yeah,
Like,
and you have a look at there's a photo that's kind of like the rear 3/4 view. It's like it shows you the side of the car.
yeah,
Look at where the Rich Energy logo is placed.
right
That's
on the
terrible.
shark fin.
Like it's no, but it like wraps around the body. Like you think you
Yeah,
could have
it's
just
so
put it
stupid.
somewhere else that would look better.
Yeah,
I saw
and
in
I think they should have put the word Haas in gold. I mean, come on, they missed that
yeah,
opportunity.
it's quite flawed.
Yeah, and some gold stripes down the side, and anything would have made it look better. But just from the side
Yeah.
view, it's all black and grey except for the Rich Energy logo, and looks bad in my opinion. But anyway,
I saw this excellent concept art on Reddit. Let me just find it. Anyway, so
Racing
next we
Point.
have Racing Point. Yes, I don't like it. I don't like it. I really don't like it.
I mean, I don't mind it, but I mean the blue,
I
like
gave it a yeah.
the front half looks cool, and then it flows well up until the blue just comes out of nowhere, and Sport Pacer is like really
Yeah.
awkwardly thrown in there at the last minute.
I gave it a 2 for consistency.
Yeah.
It just doesn't look right.
Yeah,
It's
it
it's
looks.
such a nice livery last year.
I know it
was
looks a bit
pu- it was
stupid.
it was a bluey purple. It wasn't like full on purple. I'm trying to find this.
And again,
Place.
every single concept livery I saw for this was way cooler. Like
Yeah.
a lot of them I saw had dark pink mixed in with highlights of light, and this is just like a mishmash of it's got 3 shades of pink and grey and this super bright blue and white. Like there's just too much going on.
Yeah. I'm trying to find this livery. Anyway, what's next? We have McLaren. I'm a huge fan of this livery.
Yeah, me too.
You'll probably know it's obviously the orange and the blue has always been a McLaren thing for the last year or two. Here we go, found it. Let me send this to you.
Yeah, but this year they went all out with the blue. I think it looks really cool.
Yeah, that is quite cool.
Yeah, and they made it blend perfectly. Like it wasn't even smooth lines. They did it with triangles, and they still nailed it. It looks awesome.
Have a look at that. Yeah, the triangle thing looks really cool. Like the little
Yeah.
chevrons. I don't know, whatever triangles.
Yeah.
Alpha, identical, apart from a bigger logo.
Yeah,
It's
and
not-
exact
not
same
much.
with Toro Rosso.
Yeah,
couldn't
literally,
vote.
like Red Bull gets a 0 for freshness because it's identical.
Yep.
And Williams gets a 10 for freshness because it is all new. There is nothing.
It is very
about
new.
that.
Yeah,
There's nothing like existing.
but
I was a big fan.
I don't like it at all. Though.
Yeah.
I think it looks crap.
What?
Yeah, no,
It
it looks
seems
like
to-
it was a blue car that someone got a spray paint can and sprayed some white on it, then wrote rocket on the side.
Yeah, people aren't a fan of the gradient look. I love it personally. think
I
it's
just reckon
really
it looks
cool.
like someone made it in Microsoft Paint. and they decided to put it on a several $100 million car.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's a fair point. So, now let's move on to our personal ranking.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'll
So,
give you my
personal ranking. So, you go, just list it off from
well,
1 to 10. Your
I'll
favourite
give you
liveries.
my top three because a lot of them are
Yeah,
tied
top
for
3. Top
equal
3.
last, such as Williams, Toro Rosso, Alfa Romeo, Racing Point, Haas. I mean Renault, Red Bull. I
Yeah,
just gave it away. Um,
top 3. Yeah.
I gotta say number three, I'd say
Yeah.
Mercedes because I
Same.
think it just looks very well done, well finished. Number two,
It's the same but different.
yeah, no, they did a very good job. I mean,
Yeah.
they already had a good livery last year, so yes, it's not that different, but it doesn't mean it's not good. Um,
Yeah.
same with McLaren. The color choice is really cool. It's weird, but it works well, and they blended it
Yeah.
really well at the back. I like the triangles, and
Yeah.
it matches the whole theme of the McLaren Shadow Esports team. Blah blah blah. So that's the second, and then first is Ferrari because the matte black on an F1
Yeah.
car. I don't remember the last time that was in F1. I know Red Bull has been using matte quite a bit, but that's kind of like a
It's
regular
not
thing for them.
noticeable matte like the new
Exactly.
Ferraris. Like
Yeah.
Red
Yeah.
Bull it's covered up by the actual bull itself and all
Yeah,
the sponsors
and
and
it's so dark as well. Like you barely notice it. But with the red car with bits of black on it, I think it'd look
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And what's number 2 on your
So
list?
Ferrari was one, McLaren was two, Mercedes was three.
Okay. I have gone third place Mercedes, second place McLaren. It just looks so cool. And first place Williams,
Right.
which
Okay.
it seems like the back markers are doing a really good job with liveries. Yeah. Um, anyway, yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Williams car. Just the gradient and the white and the blue. It looks excellent. I saw a
If
front on shot. There was like showed you the front wing and like there was two of the strakes were like blue and the others were black. It looked excellent.
I reckon if the 2018 or 17 or 16 or 15 Williams livery was in this, I would have like I used to love that livery. It used to be my favorite every year. Just the stripe, the martini stripe, but now
Yeah,
they're gone. So
yeah.
it's a shame.
So apparently on the F1 website they ran a poll and the favorite livery was, according to this site, it was Ferrari, unsurprisingly, followed by Haas and Alpha. We've also
Alpha.
got, yeah, people really
What?
like that livery. I don't know how.
It just looks the same.
Then Mercedes, McLaren. Somehow 6% of people thought it was Red Bull, and 2% Force India, which makes sense. Oh God, Racing Point. I got used to that. Yeah, and we ran some Instagram polls as well, and in tied first place is Toro Rosso, Renault, McLaren, and Alpha. How?
I don't
I
know
don't
how I
know.
feel about that. Toro Rosso, far out.
Yeah, but that's all tied. They all had 100% of the votes.
Right. Okay.
Fifth was Haas. Sixth was Red Bull. Seventh Ferrari. Weirdly, eighth was Merc and Racing Point. 10th
Right.
was Williams, and technically in 11th was the Red Bull launch livery. People seem to really hate that.
Right. Okay.
Uh, okay, shall we move on to
Barcelona
testing?
testing. Yeah. Well,
So,
I got to say first of all, it's very hard to tell anything.
yeah,
The
yeah.
only definite thing I can say is that Alex Albon probably had the most premature crash in Formula One history. He crashed on turn four of his outlap in his first time ever in a Formula One car. So
Yeah, I mean,
I,
it doesn't get earlier than that. I mean, turn one, but I mean,
turn four, but still.
I'm saying you could have crashed earlier, but
Oh yeah,
it
yeah,
wasn't really a crash; it was a spin. Anyway,
yeah. Still, he
it's
doesn't even have a
it's
super license. He shouldn't be in F1. I don't know how. To
he
be
has a
honest,
super license.
I think he's not a
Well, I mean,
he's not a paid driver, but his dad owns a branch of KFC in I forgot what country, and then mysteriously, when he starts doing well in Formula Two, KFC decided to sponsor Toro Rosso. I mean, coincidence? I don't think so.
hmm, yeah,
I think he
um,
will. I think that before the end of the year, he will be dropped, and Dan Tickton will take his place.
Do you think he'll be dropped or Kvyat will be dropped?
Well, Kvyat's been part of the Red Bull driver program for ages. Albon
Well,
hasn't. He just was kind of like a last minute because Red Bull had no one else. They wanted to get rid of Hartley because he was never a first choice anyway. Like if
well,
they were desperate enough to pick Kvyat over Hartley, I think that just shows their priorities. They're really waiting for Dan
true.
Tickton. That's their main goal.
Well, Kvyat wasn't part of the Red Bull family for a year or two. Like he left Toro Rosso. He was with Ferrari for a year. Now he's come back to
Well,
Red Bull.
yeah, but he still had connections. Like he didn't, cut ties with Red Bull.
And Alex Albon actually was with Red Bull, I think, but he left years ago.
Right. Okay.
Probably because they were holding him back or something. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, I know Hartley.
Um,
Hartley used to be. Then he got dropped and went to
yeah,
the World Endurance Championship, and then they got him back.
came back. Yeah, as much as the Red Bull family is, much as like the Red Bull driver program is like strict and all this stuff, it's like pretty much all of the drivers have got into F1.
Oh yeah, yeah,
All the top drivers.
but they get to F1 and then it's extremely they got a lot of pressure on them because they're like when they're in Toro Rosso, there's like six other drivers waiting to take their spot straight away. Like if you look, not so much last year. Last year they were consistent and kept the same drivers the whole season. But I think the year before that they had like Toro Rosso had like six drivers or something. Like they just churned through people. They had I think Pierre Gasly had a race, Hartley had a race, Kvyat was like in and out of races randomly, yeah. And then
Yeah,
of course there were a few others. It was just insane.
Toro Rosso is basically the equivalent of my second fantasy team last year. Basically, just trying stuff and
Yeah, yeah,
throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. Really.
yeah. And then,
Um,
like last 2 years ago, they were doing that with the car. Last year, 2 years ago, they were doing drivers, finding drivers that would work. Last year, they were doing it with the car because every race they decided to give themselves an engine penalty. Hopefully, this year will be the year where they actually start trying and making an attempt for the constructors. Because I mean, they got a fourth place last year, and they had some, if considering they were starting at the back of most races, especially towards the end. And then the
Toro
drivers would
Rosso.
fight back to like 10th and 9th place.
Who are we talking about here? Toro Rosso.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see how they go. It's kind of a case of in the midfield. It's how has everyone else developed, and less about in Toro Rosso's case. Because I mean, they got the Honda engine. We know what that could do last year. It's just a case of how much have they developed that further. And
Yeah. Well, they'll also have an advantage because they'll be sharing a lot more data with Red Bull. Yeah, they're
that's
even
true.
sharing a lot of the same parts. Like the
Yeah,
whole
Red Bull.
back section of the car will be identical to the Red Bull.
Yeah, Red Bull are on at the point now where they're basically a Honda's factory team.
Yep, yep.
Um. Anyway, so I lost train of thought. Yes. Okay. So testing. I've got on our little run sheet here. Now, obviously, yeah. So we've gotten that out of the way that testing is not an indicator of what the grid is going to look like and
Yep.
performance, but it does give us an idea of kind of like if Ferrari are topping the timesheets, they're not going to be last. Like it gives you an idea. It gives you an idea of where people sit. So there's an interesting article. Basically, the F1 website has published an article correcting all the lap times based on like how the tires and Pirelli's data.
Yeah,
So Ferrari's first. We're pretty confident. We're confident of that.
Mercedes is second, right?
Mercedes is fourth.
Okay.
Lewis Hamilton has been quite like he's been saying that Ferrari is fast and they have it'll be a harder task to
Yeah,
do
but
better than last year.
they're sandbagging as well. Like they're not going to give it 100. Like I was on an Instagram Live, I think, or Instagram TV thing where I think it was James Allison that said we're not going to give it 100% until Q3
Yeah,
in
till
Melbourne.
Q3. Yeah,
Yeah, which makes sense. That's when they all
makes
turn on
sense, yeah.
party mode and
yeah. So, So Mercedes, that most teams are sandbagging. Ferrari are to a degree, but I think they're showing a lot more of their true speed at this point.
yeah. Well, especially with Charles Leclerc because he needs practice going at that speed in that car. Whereas Mercedes drivers don't. They're not doing it for practice for them. They're doing it just for data. Vettel doesn't really need practice. It's just Leclerc that needs practice. so he has to kind of gun it just to see what it's like.
Honda have been very reliable over the
Yeah.
last few days, which has been quite surprising.
Supposedly they have a party mode as well.
Supposedly,
Supposedly,
hopefully.
I doubt that.
Well, I don't know. I don't build Formula One
I think
engines,
if they
but
do have a party mode, they'll be using it in Q1, Q2, and Q3.
wouldn't you?
Just to try and prove a point
Yeah,
and to make sure they don't get knocked
yeah.
out. Because they're not going to be fighting for pole position anytime soon.
It's no, well, not at the start of the season, at least. Or maybe there will be. Maybe we'll
Well,
get
yeah, of
lots
course, like
of
Monaco and Mexico, and
Honda succeeding at the start of the year, and then Mercedes and Ferrari developing their engines to a point where that Honda can't match.
yeah,
Um, we also got here. One more thing on that. Like in China, some of the moves Ricardo made on Bottas and Vettel and people down the straight, like that probably wouldn't have been possible in Abu Dhabi. They wouldn't have had the speed because obviously Ferrari and Mercedes developed the car past that point.
I think
Maybe they would
the
have.
two main factors of that were one, tire wear. Like if it wasn't for Daniel getting
True.
a brand new
Yeah.
set of softer tires, then that would have happened. But also there were some massive straights in China where you can get crazy DRS and just slipstream in general. Like you saw how far back he was from Bottas,
Yeah.
and he just launched on the inside because it was going so much faster. So I think there were way more factors at play than just engine speed. I reckon even if you took like you did the China race at the same time as Abu Dhabi was last year, with all the engine upgrades,
Yeah.
that result would have happened if Ricardo had the new tires.
Oh, I disagree there. Anyway, next we've got Renault. Look to have made an improvement, but it's hard to tell. Obviously, it's testing.
Yeah.
Haas.
But then hang on, back to the Renault.
Yeah.
Clearly whatever journalist informs the media, like Australian media, that about F1 testing, because they only cover F1 in the news very rarely, only when something happens to Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah.
They also covered the Max Verstappen when he pushed Ocon. That was funny. That was on the news.
I heard on the radio as well. They actually, obviously, when they talk about F1, they're going to talk about Ricciardo because who else would you talk about?
All they were saying was
Australian media.
that Daniel Ricciardo was the slowest out of everyone, and yes, he was because he was just doing testing laps, and I think he was running rakes and stuff too. Like he was not trying, but of course they also get that.
I mean, your average Joe is not going to be.
Yeah, and the next day
hearing the news and not going to be comparing Pirelli tire data and that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, I know, but they shouldn't have reported it in the first place. Anyway, that was silly.
True. And then on the last day, Renault were fastest.
Exactly, yeah.
And then they're like, oh, Daniel Ricciardo is topping the timing sheets, making it sound like he's so fast when it's not really. So they look like they're going to be good. Anyway, time will tell.
Yeah.
I've got Haas. Nothing new there. It's just I don't know.
We'll have to wait.
Again,
hopefully the money from Rich Energy will make them a bit richer and allow them to go fast.
Yeah. Speaking of people who are richer, Racing Point.
Yes.
They have been quite slow so far.
Yeah.
I've written I've basically collated all the fastest times from test 1. And I think I've shared that with you. If you have a look at our conversations. Basically, I collated all the times and then averaged the fastest time from each teammate.
Yep.
Obviously not representative at all. But Renault are fastest, apparently, somehow, if you average it out. Don't ask. And so Racing Point are near the bottom. They're pulling in 119s, which is quite surprising. I guess it's still the first test, and just looking at this data already, Stroll has already gone faster, 0.8 faster in this second test, which we're doing, which is going as we're filming, which is probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
And again, time will tell how much effect that newfound money has had on performance.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of the midfield has gotten some sort of boost, except Williams and McLaren. So they're going to still be at the bottom. But Alpha has got a much closer partnership with Ferrari because they're not Sauber anymore. They're Alfa Romeo.
And
Haas
Alpha is owned by Yeah,
Haas got
Alpha
re-
is a
yeah, Haas got rich
two go.
energy. Toro Rosso is using a lot of the same components as Red Bull, and um, Force India or Racing Point has Lawrence Stroll as a backer now. So
Yeah, so
yeah, a lot of money being
McLaren have been setting those insanely fast times all week, which is basically low fuel runs, fresh tires.
yeah.
And when you correct all the different like tire compounds, they're actually ninth.
Yeah.
So
Even in
anyway,
that,
again,
I don't
the
trust Pirelli starter. I mean, like they
it's all we
it,
got at the moment.
but yeah, it's also all hypothetical. Like
True.
they did a few Pirelli tire tests on with last year's cars at Abu Dhabi after. Like the real data will come from Melbourne when we see how
Yeah,
quickly
that's
the
right.
tires
When
degrade.
everyone's on like the new softs now, there's no hyper softs or ultra softs anymore.
What? Yeah.
Which I'm kind of disappointed about. I like that system
I found
because
a
you
I
could.
found a very useful chart actually. I'm trying to get this up. So over the past 2 years that there've been tire changes. So from 2017 there was hard, medium soft, super soft, and ultra soft, and then from 2017 to 2018 they all increased by name but not by actual hardness. So the hard from
Yeah.
2017 was equivalent to the super hard in 2018. The soft from 17 was equivalent to the medium from 2018. And so we all know the 2018 compounds, but the 2019 compounds, there's just C1, C2, C3, C4, C5. So the super hard is gone and the super soft is gone. So it's just hard, medium soft, ultra soft, hyper soft, which I thought was weird. Seeing as
Yeah.
a lot of people complain about the hyper soft, saying it's kind of useless. It degrades way too fast, which it does. So I don't know how often that'll get used.
That does add though a really nice element to it because it's for fans at least. It's
Yeah,
a team can go on the hypersoft, set a bristling fast time, and then have to pit early in the race because the tires
yeah,
degrade. So
yeah,
we've also got yeah. I mean, I'm personally a fan of the old naming system because you could go, oh yeah, they're using
Oh yeah,
they're
no,
using
I reckon this.
super soft, ultra soft, and like hyper soft. Is as opposed to like soft, medium, and hard last weekend.
Yeah,
So I go, okay, the track must be a better surface or something or
yeah, yeah.
whatever.
No, I reckon this new system is great for new F1 fans, which is what they're obviously trying to
Yeah,
do, attract people. But for everyone else who's been watching it for the past like I don't know 6 months, it's just crap because we don't.
even if you watch like 4 races, you'll still have an idea.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like it's not. The old system was not difficult to understand at all. But now there's going to be three compounds each weekend, and the names will change to just be hard, medium, and soft each weekend.
But there's no indication of exactly how soft that compound is.
Exactly. Well, no, like we'll get information. We will get told of like what it equates to in the old.
Yeah,
We're going to be
still,
remembering
it's a
that,
bit.
working it out every time. It'll be different every weekend.
Yeah.
It's just I think stupid. But if it means
Anyway,
more fans to the sport, then sure.
speaking of more fans, go join our Formula One Fantasy League. Link in the description. We've got that. It's public league now, so you can come and join. I was going to go through the other teams quickly. We'll talk about McLaren. Alpha looked pretty fast. The front wing design is pretty bold, pretty different from everyone else.
The only front rings I really took notice of was that Mercedes and Ferrari were really different, like basically opposite, and yet they both worked well. So I think that's
Pull
cool
this up. I mean, yeah, they're pretty different. Yeah, basically
because
opposite.
last year everyone had these crazy complex wings, but they were very
Yeah,
similar. They kind of all just copy each other. But this year, because it's a new rule set, no one's been able to copy each other yet. So they've all developed their own wings, and they're all
yeah,
within the quite strict rules, but still really different. So
yeah.
hopefully it'll differ from
Especially
track
that
to track.
Alpha front wing, which is really bold.
Yeah,
It's like full normal height in the middle, and then it just kind of drops off.
yeah,
And it's let's see if it's fast.
yeah. I reckon the first time, like, I don't think Melbourne will be a great indication of front wings, but
Yeah,
I don't know, like Monaco
Monaco.
maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Monaco.
yeah.
But you'll get an indication of who's fast, and front wing will massively affect how fast the
Oh
car
yeah,
is.
yeah.
It's
Also, what car is that in
yeah,
quotation
that's
marks
right.
easiest to drive? The front wing
Yeah.
provides a lot of downforce. So
And also one thing, part of these new rules is that the little winglets and little bits that were there on the edges last year, they
mm.
were there I think mostly to like diffuse the air and like send it around the wheels and
Yeah, it was.
all that.
Yeah.
Sorry about the email. Uh, sorry, little background noise. Anyway, um, so I think maybe it's interesting to see whose wing manages that best. Whether it's like Alpha's is open, which could allow the air to easily travel behind there. I don't know. Let's see what happens.
Well, I think no matter how no, no, okay, that's a lie. Even though they've changed the wing rules, I reckon within a couple months it'll not be back to what it was. Like the wings will still be a lot simpler, but the effect that they have will be just as complex as it was last year, and the racing, quality will go back to normal. I think the teams always find a way to do what's in the best interest for them,
Yeah.
which is in this particular case, not only downforce, but to create terrible air behind them, which makes it much harder for the car to overtake. So they'll
Yeah.
they'll find a way. Like we saw last year, that Mercedes had an alteration on their wheel on where their wheel nuts were, and that somehow affected the wake. And people are using brake ducts and putting
Yeah.
fins on that, and I'm pretty sure that's allowed this year. And literally everyone has done it. So
Yeah.
the rules need to be either a lot stricter or just thrown out the window because the teams will still find a way around them.
We're not aerodynamicists, so we can't comment on that stuff. But yeah. Toro Rosso, nothing to talk about. And
Except the fact that
Williams. Yeah.
Alex Albon has green lights in the back of his car because he hasn't got his super license yet, and one of the
How
rules
he
is any
hasn't got his super license yet, but yet he's in an F1 car.
yeah.
How
So
does that work?
he's allowed to do a certain amount of testing, which is what he's doing now. And whenever he's driving the car, the lights on the back must be green at all times, and he will get his. He's like a couple of days away from getting his license approved. Like he's got all the requirements. He hasn't gotten approved yet. Um, but yeah, I just thought that's kind of
Right,
fun.
it's an approval thing. It's not isn't eligible. Obviously, I
Oh
mean,
yeah, no, he's
Red
definitely
Bull
not
wouldn't hire a
eligible.
driver that isn't eligible for an
No,
F1
no,
super license.
no.
It's just funny that a
Yeah,
fully a fully like full season F1 driver
hasn't got his
still
license
hasn't
yet.
got a super license as
Yeah.
of F1 testing
Well, they recently, oh, not recently, within the
and
last
is
6 months,
driving around. Yeah,
they made the rules to get them a lot stricter. Like it's a lot harder to get a super license now, because basically what caused all that was Max Verstappen getting one at like 16,
yeah,
and everyone's like,
it's
"Well, that's way too early."
it's fair. It's a fair point.
Oh no, they've improved the rules, because before it meant, if you're part of the Red Bull Driver Academy, you can become an F1 driver at 16, which is what happened to Max Verstappen. Now they've changed it to basically you got to win something. You got to be in F2 for a long time, or you got to win F2 and F3. Like the only direct ticket to get a super license is winning Formula 2. That's the only way you can get it in one shot. Everything else you got to slowly build up points through other series.
That's right. And obviously, if you're not winning fast enough, your previous points are going to expire. So you have to win a certain
Do
amount
they
of points
expire?
within the period. So, yeah, interesting. And something what were we talking about? Oh yeah, yeah. Williams, final team we're going to talk about. So they obviously in the first 2 days of testing they were using that fantastic invisible livery.
Oh, it was
I think
really
everyone
good.
like
Yeah, yeah. They
yeah
actually scored a
like
time of 0.00, which I thought was
really
amazing. Yeah,
wow
yeah.
okay yeah, but they were the invisible livery was looking pretty good. It was a bit hard to spot at times. I don't know how the commentators deal with it, but anyway, yeah, they switched back to the normal Rocket Williams Racing, yet their last
Yeah.
livery on the third day.
Well, I think they actually stole Fernando Alonso's rocket ship from Austria. I think that's what happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean, I think at a certain point, the Williams car was 11th. So as Fernando said, you could stick a rocket ship to the back of the car and he still would be
Still wouldn't
P11.
qualify, yeah.
So there you go. Fernando was right.
In other news, Formula
Yeah.
2 first female driver
Yes,
ever,
thinking about
or
that.
just in a long time? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure first in F2, because F2's only been around for a while, and
Oh yeah,
then
okay, good point.
it
Yeah,
had
I
a
remember
it was
that.
gone for like 20 years, and now it's back.
Yeah,
Um,
but
yeah,
yeah.
it's good. Hopefully, she can perform in that
Well, I
series.
like yes, in this case, she's a paid driver, but I think out of all the young girl drivers that there are a lot
She
of female
has the best
drivers
chance.
who are established, right? There's I forgot her name. There's a
Mm.
NASCAR driver. There's quite a few WC drivers.
Um,
Um,
D.
what is it?
Um, keep
Yeah,
looking. Sorry.
you'll think of it. Um, that there's quite a few sports car drivers, female drivers that are established. But when it comes to open wheels, there are basically none. Like Claire Williams, who is no, sorry, not Claire Williams, Susie Wolf, who is married to Toto Wolf. Um,
Danica Patrick. That's it.
that's it, yeah. Um, so the last F1 female driver was Susie Wolf did a Friday practice in like 2015 or something, or 2014 in a Williams. And that's it. It was just a practice and it was just a publicity
Yeah.
stunt. But now there's actually a girl doing a full season of Formula 2. And
Yeah.
yes, she's a paid driver, but she has also proved herself especially in Formula E testing. That was one that stood out for me. Racing for DS de Cheetah, which is not like a number one team, right? There are faster cars out there on the grid, and she did really
Yeah.
well. She beat Sergei Sorokin. She beat a few other well-known drivers. I'm not saying, yes, Sergei Sorokin came last year, but he's still an F1 driver. It takes a lot to get to that level.
Yeah.
So I
Um.
I don't think she'll win by any chance, but hopefully she'll do well.
Yeah. Hey, time will tell
Yeah,
if whether or not a lot of drivers on the F2 grid that just don't go anywhere.
yeah.
Hopefully, she doesn't become one of those, and I'm
But
doubting whether she'll make it to F1, but maybe Formula E's a chance, and there's a
well,
whole load of
if
other.
if she proves herself, I think she definitely could.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
I doubt she will. Not because she's a girl or anything, but just because Formula 2 is so competitive. And last year was really, I think, a miracle almost that three drivers made it to F1. Like that was just
It was almost two drivers. It was
yeah,
only at the last minute that
the Albon came in, yeah.
had to fill the gaps with Albon.
And again, it was the top three drivers too. Like you have to do well in Formula 2. But yeah, like
There's
and
only a yeah.
again, so the only really confirmed driver was Lando Norris. And then kind of late, George Russell popped up. Um, and I thought it could be so. I didn't see that coming. I thought that was
I don't think really. I mean, everyone it was in the back of their minds, but it was kind of like, oh, maybe Ocon will get the seat first. And then we really
yeah.
thought, oh
I don't
yeah, well,
understand.
Kubica's going to get it.
Like out of Kubica, Ocon, and Sorokin, I don't know. Kubica was last for me. I think Sorokin got it really bad luck. Like I remember there was one time
Yeah,
where he qualified well in Monaco, and he started the race well. It was like well in the points, like eighth or seventh something, and then he got like a penalty, and it put him 45 seconds behind on like lap 3, and it just ruined his race. And that wasn't his fault; it was the team's fault because they did something on, like just before the start of the race that was illegal. I forgot what it was.
yeah. Going back to your point about F2 a minute ago, 5 drivers last year scored pole in F2. 5. 3 of them made it F1.
Yeah,
And like, if you have a look at the winners, sure, there's a couple here and there that may not have been like the usual winners. Think people like
who were the other two? Nick De Vries and
Sergio Sete Camara.
okay, yeah, and I know Sergio has done F1 testing, right? Am I correct in saying that?
I don't know. I possibly. I mean,
Yeah,
I
like they're both well-renowned drivers.
and yeah. I mean, F2 also got take mine like Artem Markelov, who's actually a test driver for Renault.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a reserve.
But
He
Renault have like 8 test drivers though. Like,
yeah, I know it's um Anyway, he was in F2 in 2018 and 2017 and came from GP2 in 2016, 2015 and 2014. So
He's been there for 6 years.
the last time he hasn't been in a top feeder series is 2013. He's been
Right.
sitting in those like GP2 and F2 for like
But
6 years.
he is sponsored by Russian Time, and I'm pretty sure SMP as well.
Yeah.
And they're not going to give up on him because right now he's basically the
One of
highest
the
ranked
only
Russian
highest
driver
ranking. Yeah. Well,
in the world.
apart from Kvyat.
Oh yeah. But everyone knows he
because
he does not have a big future.
because the other Russian F1 driver was fortunately booted off the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what is Sorokin doing now? Oh, he's WC. That's what he's doing.
Is he doing
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He's LMP too.
Let's have a look. Maybe make a Wikipedia one though.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
racing
and I mean-
LMP2 for SMP, and he's racing with Brendan Hartley. Brendan Hartley's racing for SMP for some reason. I don't know why. He should be in a LMP1 team.
Yeah.
Or
And
maybe SMP is an LMP1 team. I don't know. Maybe they
Anyway.
are, yeah.
Speaking of this, while we're on the topic, we'll just talk about this and we'll wrap this up.
Yep.
Other F1 drivers that haven't made it back for 2019, obviously Van Dorn, he's doing Formula E now.
And he's still coming last.
Is still 16th,
Yeah.
which is just pretty ironic.
Yep.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, I think he's only had like one race where he hasn't DNF'd. He's had some pretty bad luck. Maybe that'll improve, but I don't know. Esteban Ocon, I mean, he's not racing at all this year.
Nope, he's got nothing.
Yeah, Van Dorn. 4 races, DNF 2 of them.
Yeah. But then Pascal Wehrlein, what?
Yeah.
He's
Did
had-
you see the there's this insane overtake at the last corner in Mexico.
Yeah. So what happened was he got pole and was winning
Yeah.
99.995% of the race, and then literally on that last corner, his battery went from 1% to 0%.
And just
so
ran out of
so
power
he
on
lost
the-
all power. So, what's his name? Oh, not Jules, not Verne. I forgot the guy's name. But the guy who won overtook him. And I think he must have gotten a penalty for something. I think maybe because his battery ran out, maybe you get a penalty. But he ended up
I think it
scoring
was
sixth.
John Eric Ban, probably. I don't know. Someone. It's one of the top F2 guys.
Yeah, FE.
That's what I'm. Yeah. Okay. That's all right.
But yeah, that was a crazy race. I didn't even watch it, but I watched the highlights. I'm like, wow, I missed
Yeah.
that.
As with most FE races so far,
Yeah.
I forget it exists till the race ends.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so I think that wraps up that podcast. I think that's everything we need to talk about. Just quickly, I think we talked about this. What is your order for the performance order in 2019? I think there's a question on our little sheet here.
Oh, okay.
Just list them 1 to 10.
Okay.
Or do you want me to go first, or you got them on hand?
I got it. So I'm gonna say, I still think they had the best car last year, and I reckon they've improved for this year. They're hungry for a championship, so I'm gonna say Ferrari.
Ferrari, yep. Just
Then
don't
Mercedes.
explain it. Just go through.
Okay, so Ferrari,
Yep.
Mercedes, Red Bull, Alpha. No. Renault, Alpha, Haas, Racing Point,
Yep.
Toro Rosso, McLaren, Williams.
Okay, that's pretty safe. I've gone. I think we agreed on this earlier, but I changed my mind. I have gone with Ferrari, Mercedes, Renault, Red Bull, Alpha, Haas, Racing Point, McLaren, Toro Rosso, and Williams.
Right, okay.
We all agree that Renault's going to be 3rd or 4th.
Yeah.
Ferrari's going to be top. Williams going to be at the bottom, and basically the same through the middle. Racing Point's going to drop a little bit. Alpha's going to get faster.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think Toro Rosso will do poorly, not because they have a bad car or bad drivers. Towards the end of the season, they'll just constantly be taking penalties for data,
Yeah,
which is what
I
they did
I,
last year, and it's
I think
so
they're just going
annoying.
to get
And they
limited by
should
that as
be
well.
they should make some rule where you're not allowed to take penalties for the sake of taking penalties, just so they can get a new
Yeah,
engine. I think
yeah.
it should only be if you need a new engine, you can get one. If it breaks or if it's dangerous to run.
Part of the reason why they're doing that, they did a lot of that basically to test Honda parts for
Oh
Red
yeah,
Bull
yeah. And
this
for
year.
Red Bull,
And the issue with that is that this comes back to something I watched a video on. Obviously, F1 testing is just limited to 8 days now
yeah,
in February, which is what we're talking about today. And if that wasn't the case, I don't think Toro Rosso would be taking penalties. I think Red Bull would doing their own tests on like the Red Bull Ring or something,
yeah.
and like putting a Honda engine in a development car and just running that on the track and seeing how that goes.
Yeah,
Because I don't think they'd be like why would if they have that on offer, why would they be using
yeah,
the sister
exactly.
team to do that? And and so I think we can all basically agree that Alpha is going to be fourth or fifth. No,
Yep.
well, depends. I don't know, but they're going to
Although
be
I'm not
they're going to
sure
be
how good Giovinazzi is. I have no faith in him. I reckon he's the
yeah.
worst driver in the grid.
Okay, I wouldn't go that far. I'd say the worst driver on the grid at the moment. I'm going to say until he proves himself. Kubica had lots of skill back then, but I don't know how his injuries are going to affect him now.
Yeah, good point. Also, he hasn't really raced
True,
Formula
he hasn't
One
raced
for
for
like
years.
8 years or something.
Yeah,
I don't understand why he's back. He should not be. I mean, yeah, great. It's a good story. Good for him. I'm happy for him. Like, I hope he has, all the best.
yeah.
But
I mean, I don't think he'll make it past the end of this year. Hopefully, maybe I'll be wrong, and
like the thing is,
maybe he's the next Verstappen, and at like 40 and like 35 years old, he gets a Mercedes seat or something.
yeah,
I don't
but
know. I
that's the
hope
thing.
so.
He's not because okay. I
Yeah.
reckon by the end of this year, Bottas is out. It's going to happen soon, right? Hamilton will
Yeah.
stay until he gets bored, which I can stay for a few more years until 2021 at least. But Bottas will be gone, and I think that seat has got Russell's name all over it, and just not Kubica. Like
Williams or
the
Mercedes.
Mercedes seat. I reckon I can see this happening next year. Russell going to Mercedes, and then Bottas either like switching teams or going back to Williams. But if he doesn't go to Williams, then Ocon will come back to it. Williams.
I'm gonna do one better, and I'm gonna say George Russell is gonna get strangled by the performance of that car, of the Williams, and Ocon's gonna be in a Mercedes seat in 2020 because
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
they've shafted Ocon out of Williams this year, and I think they're gonna, if he's still on par in the simulator, without a doubt, I think if
They're not.
Bottas goes, they're gonna put Ocon in.
They're not going to put a simulator driver into a Mercedes seat. I think that's
Well,
ridiculous.
he is. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. We'll see what happens at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Still tipping Hamilton for the World Championship.
Yep.
Yeah, our predictions are unchanged from last month when we did that.
Doesn't mean I like him, but
podcast.
he's not okay, not by far, but he's the best.
Yeah.
He just is. No question about it. Like so good,
I think-
so consistent.
Obviously, we think construction's going to be different because Vettel and Leclerc, they'll both score good points.
Yeah.
Bottas will become the wingman and he won't be able to score. Anyway, I think we'll leave the podcast there. It's been 52 minutes, believe it or not. I think the next time we'll do this probably...
Before or after Melbourne?
Probably after Melbourne. There's nothing to talk about really.
Yeah.
I go through my excellent calendar, which I put F1 in my calendar now. I would say, I'd probably say we'll do one. Probably like the end of March, so like between Australia and Bahrain.
Yeah.
And then we'll do one just after China.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll figure
like
it out later.
maybe, just something like that. But there will be more. There will be more of these podcasts. Anyway, that's been all. Hope you at home enjoyed it. Again, go have a look at the other channels on this other videos on this channel. Also, go follow Cooper and I. And yeah, also join the Formula One Fantasy League that exists, and we need people to beat. Okay, right. Yeah, so thanks so much for listening. See you later.
See ya.